House. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah. So I have a story I'm going to start this out with. I was in a Lyft the other day. It was a ride share, and there were tourists in the ride share with me. And they asked the Lyft driver. They said, "Where's one place that we should visit in Denver?" And they said the Molly Brown house. The Lyft driver just said, "You have to go to the Molly Brown house. You have to go." And so it kind of piqued my interest.
Awesome.
And thought, oh, great, we're having you on the show. That's perfect. Get to hear about it. So what is your job title and your role at Molly Brown House, first off?
So at the Molly Brown House Museum, I am Director of Education. So I work with all the children that come through the doors or the outreach programs that we do in the schools. Every single teacher that calls, I talk to them. I'm also in charge of evaluation at the museum, different visitor engagements and other things like that too. So if it's dealing with people, you're dealing with me, so, yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
And can you tell us, I understand that some people didn't know who Molly Brown was.
I was going to say, yeah, we just...
Should I be pointing fingers?
They didn't understand who Molly Brown was?
Some people I've heard.
What's the general history? Because there's got to be somebody watching that might not.
I'm sure.
Yeah, tell us about Molly Brown.
First off, we call her Margaret. She was never called Molly in her
Okay.
lifetime, so I'll be calling her Margaret from now on. I'll talk more about that later, why she got that name. She is most famous for surviving the Titanic.
Yes.
She became known as the unsinkable Molly Brown, a nickname given to her later in life. But beyond surviving the Titanic, she did a lot here in Colorado, over on the East Coast, and also in France as well during World War I. She fought for women's suffrage. She fought for minors' rights. She formed the first juvenile justice system for children here in Denver as well. That became a model for other cities. So she helped fundraise to build cathedrals. She cared about our pets here in Denver. So she drove ambulances in World War I. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So tip of the iceberg.
Well,
So she was more than just Titanic, but that's what she's most known for.
Right.
Yep.
What was the exact story with the Titanic? Because I vaguely have heard, but wasn't she an advocate for saving more people at the time?
She did advocate to go with her lifeboat to go back and get more people.
Right.
Her big thing was that, of course, we all know on Titanic, it was women and children first. She hated this idea because you're splitting up a family. At this point in time, the husband is the breadwinner. He's bringing home the bacon, as we say. So these wives, mothers, they're losing their source of income because, of course, we as women weren't working much back then. So she wanted to keep families together. But after Titanic on Carpathia, she spoke 5 other languages. She was able to help the third-class passengers who were immigrants, help calm them down, raise money for them and stuff like that. So she was working for everybody that was on board that ship.
That's amazing.
Wow, she sounded like a really, really cool person.
I would be friends with her.
Totally, yes. Yeah, totally.
We'd be besties, I think. So
Yeah, it sounds like a really great person. How did she, so she got rich, and that's really why she had the means to do all of the things that she did. Is that correct?
Correct. She is originally from Hannibal, Missouri. She came out to Colorado, to Leadville specifically, when she was 18 years old. And that's where she met her husband, JJ. At that time, he wasn't a rich man, but in 1893, after the Sherman-Silver Repeal Act, he actually found a new way to hold up the mine walls, and he found the largest vein of gold in North America. So that's how they got their money, and that's when they moved down to Denver. She was able to use that money and influence to help all these people and all of her causes as well. Even before they had the money in Leadville, she was helping miners up there. She did soup kitchens and other things. So this was always in her nature to help people, even before they became millionaires.
Not just because of the money just gave her more means to help out.
Okay.
Was she just a general advocate during the suffrage movement, or was there anything specific that she did as part of that movement?
She gave, out in Newport, Rhode Island, she actually spoke during the Conference of Great Women, advocating for us women to have the vote. Colorado actually gave women, a lot of people don't know this, women the right to vote in 1893. We as women nationally didn't get it till 1920. But here in Colorado, we could only vote in local elections. But Margaret fought hard for that national amendment. You may have heard of Ava Belmont and Alice Paul and other big names like that. She worked with all of them. But she was mainly working on the East Coast for that national push. And eventually, obviously, we got it. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So Go ahead.
Oh, can you tell us a little bit about opportunities for students and teachers? And you have field trips there, and
We have
that nature.
lots of opportunities. Our 2 on-site programs, we have a house tour that will take you through the house, and you'll learn not only the history of the house and the objects inside and everything like that, but you'll learn Margaret's story and her impact on Denver, Colorado, and the world. We also have a walking tour, which we put in a couple years ago, that takes you around her neighborhood in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. And you get to see some buildings she helped influence, including the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, the state capitol. You learn about when that was built and stuff like that as well. That tour shows you a great example of urban growth and how cities preserve their historic structures while putting in new ones. So it's that nice blend of old and new within that tour. For our outreach programs, we have a ton of outreach programs that cover everything from the history of Colorado and Denver to historic preservation. And then 2 of our newer ones, A Doughboy's Life, which is one of my new favorite ones. Margaret's son, Larry, actually served in World War I. And he was on the Hindenburg Line. He got sprayed with mustard gas. This program takes you through what it was like to be recruited, to enlist, to go through basic training, what it was like to be a soldier during World War I. But we also tie in Margaret's efforts. After the war, she actually had all of Mark Twain's works translated into Braille, so that soldiers who lost their eyesight during the war could still read. And our other one, Women in Colorado, From Pioneers to Engineers, takes a look at female contributions in Colorado, not just what Margaret did. It's kind of fun how we did that program. Margaret becomes a time traveler. And she goes back in time and she has conversations with all these women to see their influences on Colorado. Those are just a few that we have. We have several more.
That's cool. We actually have
that's
a
really
picture of her up on my screen if you want to take a look. And I believe the hat that you brought is a replica of the one that she's wearing up here.
It's very similar to what you see on there. That photograph is actually with Captain Rostron, who is the captain of the Carpathia, the rescue ship from Titanic. This was taken in May of 1912. It was a ceremony to thank the captain and all of his crew members for picking them up that night. And what you see Captain Rostron holding is called a loving cup. It's kind of like a trophy type thing, giving in honor of them. And Margaret and several others were there on hand to present that to him. She was also in charge of the Titanic Survivors Committee, which she and other passengers started on Carpathia. And on the decks of Carpathia itself, she raised $10,000 before they got to New York City. And all that money went back to the survivors.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And she was, in this picture, she's 44 years old. So she's still fairly young at that time. When she was on Titanic, she did sail alone. And she actually was never supposed to be on the ship. She was traveling in Europe with her daughter Helen and JJ and Madeline Astor, which a lot of people know that name. She got a telegram from her son Larry saying that her one and only grandson was ill. So that's the only reason that she got back on Titanic.
Wow.
Oh, wow. No, I just want to hear more. I'm just
Oh, I could stay here all afternoon and tell you everything.
Storytelling. Tell me more.
What part of town is the Molly Brown house in? And was that the house that she lived in while she lived in Denver?
So we're in the what is called the Capitol Hill neighborhood. We're 2 or 3 blocks from the state capitol on Pennsylvania, between 13th and 14th.
That's right near me.
You
So
can come
back.
see us anytime. This house was built in 1889. The Browns were not the first owners of it. They purchased it in 1894. It's in its exact same location, the exact same lot size as they had it in the late 19th century.
Is all the furniture in it her furniture? And
Unfortunately not. Probably about 20-25% of our pieces did belong to the Browns. There still are descendants out there of the Brown family, so they have some of those pieces. And some are in other museums across the country as well.
I see. Gotta share the love.
God, I don't want to, but we have to. So,
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the Molly Brown summer house?
that is privately owned,
Okay.
but that was their home. JJ had that built in the late 1890s, and it's kind of funny to hear it say summer house because it's out on Wadsworth and Yale.
Right.
And for me,
that's just down the street from me, actually.
That's right down the street from me too. It's like a 20-minute drive from here, but back
Yeah.
then it was a half-day carriage ride to get out there.
Oh yeah, when I think summer house, I think like
Somewhere
yeah.
far, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, half-day trip. That would be
Too far.
Oh, I know. I just,
Somewhere.
I drive there every day,
Yep.
obviously. So,
summer house.
like, I'm going to go to my summer home and relax for 3 months.
Just on the
Yeah.
other side.
Drive,
I have my
you know,
summer home
20
in Arvada. That's why summer.
But their summer house was a full working farm and everything too.
Wow.
So yeah,
Very cool.
but they didn't own it very long, and the family that owns it now are descendants of the people who bought it from the Browns. So it's only been in two families' hands.
Right,
So,
gotta
which is
hold on
kinda
to it.
cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
She sounds like such a neat person. And I mean, there was a movie and a play also about her. Is that right?
There was, yes. There was it started as a musical, The Unsinkable Molly Brown. There are very few things in that is factual,
Oh,
unfortunately.
that's kind of
I'm sorry.
unfortunate. Because there's so many cool factual things about her. You would think that.
Yeah, you're going right where my brain is thinking. Her life was so extraordinary. Actually, in 1932, after her death, there was a book written called Timberline by Gene Fowler, and he took her events of her life and over-exaggerated this. And this was the basis for the musical and the movie Unsinkable Molly Brown.
Okay.
But Hollywood took it, especially the one with Debbie Reynolds, took it and just over-exaggerated it even more. Margaret was a very well-educated woman. She had education to the 8th grade. Like I said, she spoke 5 languages. She was accepted into society. She was not born in the river. So you have to take that movie with a grain of salt. But with that movie coming out in the 1960s, Margaret's house was almost torn down during that same decade. With the popularity of that movie, it helped save that house because her name became more well known. So it was really nice that kind of correlated together to help save her house, which is awesome.
When you said you were going to mention earlier, why was she called Molly Brown?
Oh,
even though she
yes,
was technically
yes.
Margaret?
So when the musical was written, Meredith Willson, who wrote the lyrics for that musical, he found it too hard to sing Margaret. So he changed her name to Molly. And she's been known as that ever since. But if I came here and I told you, I'm from the Margaret Tobin Brown House Museum, would you have any idea who we're talking about?
I would not.
So,
You did it anyways.
so
Irrelevant.
we pull you in with that Molly, and we tell you the
Sure.
true story of Margaret.
That's really cool.
Which is much more fascinating than
Right.
Yeah.
anything Hollywood could ever come up with.
Yeah.
That's very true. So if you want real information on Molly Brown, you need to visit the house. Or do you have any other resources that you suggest that if you want real biographical information about Molly Brown or Margaret Brown?
Oh, I like that you changed your name there. There is a book called Unraveling the Myth. It's written by Dr. Kristen Iverson, which is the most up-to-date biography on Margaret. The awesome thing is that History Colorado's archives, back when Larry, her son, passed away, because we didn't exist yet, he donated all of her things to History Colorado. So they have that in their archives. And also, Denver Public Library in their Western History section has some great photographs and stuff in there too. So, but if you're looking for a book, Unraveling the Myth is the best one to go for.
Unraveling the Myth. Okay. Cool. Good to know. Do you also do field trips? Is that right?
Yes, we have them on site. We do house tours and walking tours at the museum.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. You did
Yep.
talk about the
Yep.
field trips, the
Yep.
house tours and field trips. And do you do anything in the schools?
The 2 outreach programs I talked about before, the Doughboys Life and Women in Colorado, those are
Those are in
outreach.
schools.
Yep.
Okay.
We have
Sorry.
about a dozen outreach programs total. They're varying depending on the age of the student and the grade. Depends on which program you'd pick. Our most popular one is called Denver Grows, which is great for 3rd and 4th grade curriculum because it covers local history, Colorado history. But we have another one called Lego City that actually teaches kids about historic preservation through building an 1850s town out of Lincoln logs. Then we fast forward 100 years to the 1950s, and you build a modern town out of Legos.
That
And
sounds
then you
awesome.
have to
That sounds very awesome.
That's
I
like
can
my
bring it in
dream as a
here.
10-year-old.
Right.
That'd be amazing.
You have to decide which ones historic structures you want to keep. And these kids get into such heated debates. I've had kids yell at each other because they wanted to keep this building over that building. And it gets very intense, but it helps them understand the importance of historic preservation.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That is super cool.
And
Yeah.
plus, I get to play with Legos.
Yeah.
Right.
Who else gets to say that in their
Yeah,
day job? So.
So cool. That's a great idea too. All right. Well, I think we're about out of time for it. But guys, if you the Molly Brown House is right downtown. It's right in Denver, really close to where we are. So if you want more information and just want to check out all of the cool stuff that we learned about today from Jamie, thank you so much.
Sure thing.
Be sure to visit the Molly Brown House. There's also the link to the website on your screen right now. So Thank you so much, Jamie, for visiting us and telling us all about the Margaret Brown house.